Amen. Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Welcome to worship at First Parish in Lincoln, a very special worship service as we welcome our First Parish Bell Choir to join us today. Thank you, Bell Choir, for bringing us in such a beautiful way. Welcome to our second Sunday of Advent as we continue our journey towards Christmas. And as we continue our journey toward Christmas, so too do our beloved figures that travel throughout the Advent season. If you're not familiar, we have these beloved figurines that travel from window to window. We had to make do this week a little bit of a different space. And so I invite the folks over in the choir to turn around and you see the wise men behind you. They need to make their next step of the journey, and I believe they're going to end up landing on the piano. And I think Mary and Joseph have the next step to make as well. And so they're up here in the bell choir. I think they're making their way down. And they're going to be passed down into this row, and then this row back here is going to pass along, and they're going to land on this table here. You're wondering why is there a side table here in this pew? Well, Mary and Joseph that's to find a home as they make their next step of the journey. Well, welcome all. We are so glad that you are here. Welcome to any first-time visitors or long-time visitors from long ago. Welcome back. We're so glad that you're here with us, and the ministers would love to get a chance to get to know you a bit after service during our coffee hour in the Donaldson room. And welcome to everyone that is joining us virtually on Altar Live. We are so glad that you are here and part of our one body, one community. There are so many people that make days like this possible, and so deep gratitude to the deacons, everyone that set up chairs, everyone that made the bread and the juice and just brought everything together. And a special thank you to Paula Waterman for bringing us the flowers this morning for our altar so much that she gave in loving memory of her mother, Luella Bella Johnson. First Parish is an open and welcoming congregation that is rooted in our congregational and Unitarian traditions. And more than that, we are a congregation that is leaning in, looking for the new light that is breaking forth from the holy. And so whoever you are, wherever you are from, whoever and however you love, however you've made your way into this space today, do know that you are so very welcome. And now, if you would like, I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we say together our opening words about the The presence of God is found not in abstract heavens, but here in the earth things. In the shrill cry of life bursts emerging from home. In communities that gather around. In the land that holds us and the water that enables us. God is found in the possibilities of new life to come. Come, let us prepare the way with anticipation, open to transformation.
So come from my people, to your God. A voice cries out. In the wilderness, prepare the way of the liberating one. Make straight in the desert highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, and every mountain and hill be made low.
The uneven ground shall become level, and the rough places a plain. Then the glory of the sacred shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. For the mouth of the Creator has spoken.
Please join me, if you wish, and say our covenant which you'll find in the book of service. In the love of truth and in the spirit of Jesus, we rise to worship God and to service of all.
Our first reading this morning is from Waking Our Animal Senses. It seems to me that those of us who work to preserve wild nature must work as well for a return to our senses and for a renewed respect for sensorial modes of knowing. For the senses are our most immediate access to the more than human natural world. The eyes, ears, nostrils, catching faint whiffs of sea salt on the breeze, the fingertips grazing the smooth bark of the throne, this porous skin rippling with chills at the felt presence of another animal. Our bodily senses bring us into relation with the breathing earth at every point.
We come now to the time in our service that we set aside for silent and spoken prayer. To prepare, we will begin by singing the prayer hymn that is printed in the order of service, Come, O Long-Suffering Jesus. Following the hymn, we will have 2 minutes of silent meditation.
Well, we continue now in prayer, gathered together in our circle by lifting up those joys and concerns, those celebrations and griefs that are on our hearts this morning. I wanted to begin by sharing some very sad news, and news that might be surprising to some of us, which is that Don Beanfang died yesterday afternoon at about 4 o'clock. And so we hold the memory of Don and dear Denise in our hearts this morning especially. Sarah will make her way around with the microphone now, and we would invite you to speak into this space, whatever else and whomever else we're praying for.
I pray this morning for the people of Tanzania. We are back only 2 days, and it has been raining there for 38 days without stopping. That is not the rainy season. That is another climate change evidence. 83 people were dead by the time we left last week from their homes being swept away by the heavy rains. It's still happening, and I hope as we sit here in relative comfort, we can hold these families in your hearts.
This is a small prayer for the planet, for those of you who are new. We just transitioned carbon zones again.
I pray for my sister, Peggy, who passed away this week. I visited her 10 days ago, and she really didn't know who I was, and sort of didn't really open her eyes. My thoughts are with her 4 children and grandchildren.
This morning I pray for the peace and understanding that Jesus and other religious leaders have sought and taught.
Prayer of gratitude that my wonderful mother-in-law, Helen Kornfeld, is here with us today.
I grew up in this wonderful church. It's wonderful to be back there. I live in Colorado now. And thank you very much for continuing this terrific service in the church. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you. And also praying for the people in Palestine.
I just have a celebration to lift up on behalf of 2 of my colleagues. First, Kit and I were talking, and we realized that last week was the 10th anniversary of her ordination. So 10 years as an ordained minister for my co-minister and my wife. And Sarah finished her last class of her UCC quality course, which is one of several more hoops on the way to her ordination, but we celebrate each one of those. And so I lift up those joys today.
We lift up these prayers of our community, of those that have been spoken aloud, and those that have been held in the silence of our hearts. Amen.
Oh, Holy One, in this busy season of decorating and shopping, of conflict and climate change and casualties, of Advent and wonder, may we put love at the center of everything. Because when we put love at the center, everything around it changes. In October, I spent a week in Taos with 13 women. Each morning, the smell of fresh coffee lured us into the dining room. In strict silence, we fill our plates and seat ourselves around the long table, bathed in stark sunshine. Undistracted by words, we awoke into our senses and a deep sense of connection. Breathing, eating, stunned by the morning's beauty. Separate bodies, shared humanity. Communication deeper than words. Love at the center. In these days ravaged by wars and climate disasters, I pray for the children, the mothers, the fathers, whose homes and families have been destroyed. May hands remember a child's sticky fingers. May a waft of cinnamon or cardamom manifest the family dinner table. May wind carry the sweetness of a loved one's whispers. These losses are beyond imagining. May our senses restore us, opening our hearts to life's insistent, enduring beauty. Rushing rivers, hooting owls, giggling toddlers, fresh beaches, falling leaves, moonlight on newly fallen snow. The news chronicles conflicts with no right answers. I pray for peace. I pray for Palestinians, Ukrainians, Russians, Jews. I pray that perhaps tonight the soldiers and civilians, students and lawyers will silently turn their gaze to the night sky and fall to their knees in awe. And for a moment or a lifetime, they will remember that this beautiful world is meant to be worshipped, not won or lost. They will recognize the depth of our interconnectedness, like the silent women in Taos. Holy One, may we come to our senses in every sense of the word. With ears, eyes, nostrils, fingertips, and lips, our senses invite us into awe, curiosity, wonder. May we say yes to the invitation, no matter how busy the season. Because when we put love at the center, everything around it changes. And now, if you would like, please join me in saying the unison prayer, which you will find in the order of service. Holy One, take flesh in our hands, that they might cook meals that nourish, plant seeds that grow life, create art that inspires, touch tenderly bodies that take flesh in our voice, that we might call for the mighty to be torn from their thrones, speak words of compassion and love, and whisper and thank you to every source of beauty that holds us. Take flesh in our skin, our curves, our wrinkles, our scars, in every detail of these bodies, that we might begin to honor the holy we pray. Take flesh in our eyes, that we might weep tears worthy of all that has been lost, all that has been taken, all that has been betrayed. Take flesh, O God, in our beating hearts, that we might keep fighting for collective life,
Keep believing in divine possibilities. Keep loving despite our family. Keep turning towards each other. Come, oh come, Emmanuel.
Now will the ushers please come forward to receive the morning song. And now please join me if you wish in saying the offertory prayer. We give thanks, O Lord, to the gifts and the givers, and we ask that we may use these gifts wisely and well, both to nurture the life of this congregation and to further the goals of justice and peace throughout the world.
Well, thank you, choir, and thank you, bell choir. Our second reading comes from the beginning of the Good News of Mark. As it is written in the prophet Isaiah, "See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way." The voice of one crying out in the wilderness, "Prepare the way of the Lord, make his path straight." So John the Baptizer appeared in the wilderness, proclaiming a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins. And the whole Judean region and all the people of Jerusalem were going out to him and were baptized by him in the river Jordan, confessing their sins. Now John was clothed with camel's hair, with a leather belt around his waist, and he ate locusts and wild honey. Locusts and wild honey. What a weird detail to find in the middle of this story. Kit and I had friends visiting us last summer, and one night they ate out at a restaurant in Cambridge. Afterwards, they came home and told us about the different kinds of insects that were on that menu. Now, Kit and I have heard of these things called restaurants, but we haven't set foot in one in a very long time. So we thought maybe this was common practice in the far-off land of Cambridge. Turns out, of course, insects are great sources of protein. In many parts of the world, crickets and grasshoppers are a regular part of people's diet. And as we think about a sustainable future on our planet, instead of continuing to chop down trees to make room for more livestock, many people are convinced that one thing humans can do is eat more insects. Spoon some cricket powder onto your morning yogurt. Sprinkle some larvae on your salad like bacon bits. And there's nothing new under the sun, I guess, because right there in the dusty old Bible, John the Baptist is crushing this very diet. Before we get to Jesus, before we get much theology, we are asked to imagine a question that human beings might need to consider in the decades to come on this earth. What would a locust taste like drizzled in a bit of honey? Taste, smell, hearing, touch, sight. I've always been fascinated by the way our different senses play different roles in our spiritual experience. In Hindu thought, there's a concept called vasana. Vasanas refer to karmic residue. But literally, the word vasana means scent. Here's how one scholar explains it. Vasana is the stuff as ineffable as a smell that remains from a past life. Each life produces vasanas, which remain dormant until you are reincarnated again in that same species. So the vasanas from your life as a cat will only be triggered when thousands of incarnations later you are a cat again. But the trigger is always scent. Think about what you remember best from your childhood. Aren't those memories always connected with smell? The freshly mown grass before a baseball game, pancakes sizzling on the skillet, even that chemical scent of sunscreen, the way it sort of evokes bananas for me, brings me back to childhood. And as we look ahead to Christmas, the meaning of that holiday lives so strongly in the scent of pine needles, the smell of fires crackling and candles burning. In our own traditions of Unitarianism and Congregationalism, hearing has pride of place. Those early Protestants were pretty suspicious of what the dominant church had set up, and so they stripped down their own places of worship until they resembled those bare, whitewashed walls of our own sanctuary down the hill. No images, no incense or other smells, not much to touch, not much to taste. But hearing, yes, the word or the truth was something meant to be spoken and heard. And hearing that word could change your life. And while we've broadened quite a bit in our spirituality since then, I think, that emphasis on hearing is still so powerful. I think about the times that I have cried in church. It's been from words that I hear. It's been from music that I hear that pours out and breaks open that frozen place in my soul. Well, so far we've considered taste and smell and hearing. It means the sermon is more than halfway over. But after John baptized Jesus, and after Jesus grew up, when he grew powerful, when he grew charismatic, when he grew dangerous to the state, that power lived in his touch. The Gospels are full of stories about people who seek out Jesus for a touch. If you had a skin disorder or a reproductive condition or some other physical difference, you might have been considered unclean in Jesus' time. You couldn't enter the temple. Quite often, other people wouldn't touch you. You couldn't shake someone's hand or hug a family member even. We know that other mammals focus so much of their energy on touch, mothers slobbering saliva on each one of their offspring as they grow. And so when Jesus grows up, it's no surprise that many of the people who come to see him and reach out to him have been starved of that gift of touch. Jesus is one way to think about it. Jesus might be God's touch to each one of our bodies. Jesus might be God reaching out to each and every one who has been told that they are unclean, who has been told that they are living in the wrong body, who has been told that for some reason they aren't holy enough. William Blake called the five senses the chief inlets to the soul. And last but not least, we come to sight. Last but not least, we come to that gray morning light meandering through the stained glass window, bending through our corneas. We come to that almost overwhelming feeling of taking in each other's faces right here and now. Did you know that for most of Christianity, people prayed with their eyes open? Are our eyes more tired of the world now? Are billboards and phone screens making it harder for us to see the sacred? Maybe someday, but not today. Our senses are what are most wild in us, David Abram writes. And today, in this whole season of getting ready, we can come back to our senses. Today, here in the round, we can look in one another's eyes. We can breathe the traces, the karmic residue of those pine needles still fresh from the touch of Christmas fare. And today, if we choose, we can taste bread and juice as a way to remember a man who changed people by touch. And in doing all this, in coming back to our senses, we can find ourselves not above the great web of light, but right there in the very midst of it. May it be so. Amen.
We have an opportunity this morning to use our senses by partaking in communion if we so wish. It is always open and optional here at First Parish to participate. And as we do this morning, we are going to be doing communion a little bit differently, in a way that some of our siblings and many other Christian denominations do, through the use of intinction. It says when we are all going to be invited to rise as we are willing, come forward to one shared table, one shared cup, and take a piece of bread individually, dip it into the cup, and take it individually. In doing so, we're going to have 3 stations for this process. There'll be one that is gluten-free, facing the piano, and then there'll be 2 facing opposite directions on either side of the table. As we rise, in whatever way we are willing and able to come forward, we are reminded that we are participating in an outward and visible sign of an inward reality. We are one community, gathered around one table.
At this time, I would invite the deacons who are going to help serve this meal to come forward. And as we prepare to have communion together, we think today of our Jewish brothers and sisters in the midst of Hanukkah. We remember this practice's roots in the Last Supper and the Passover meal. And we think today of all those people for whom bread and juice and being together with family and friends is not something to be taken for granted. As Sarah mentioned, in a minute, you'll be invited to make your way towards whichever station is closest and most appropriate for you. Friends, we remember that night when Jesus was with his friends, and he lifted up bread, and he broke the bread, and he said, "This is my body. Do this as a way of remembering me." And in the same way, after supper, he took the cup. He said, "This cup is the new covenant poured out for you and for many. Do this as a way to remember me." All things are ready. Miranda's going to start playing some light music, and all who wish are invited to come forward.
I invite you now to say with me, if you wish, the words of our prayer of thanksgiving. Bountiful God, we give you thanks that you have refreshed us at your table, strengthened our faith, increased our love for one another, and sent us forth to imagine and build a new world in courage, peace, and joy. Amen.
We go forth from the worship of God to be faithful to the vision of Jesus, to affirm each person's dignity, and to cherish the living earth.
As we go, receive this blessing. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for co-creating, nurturing, and building ways of life. Go forth in the company of the Spirit of transformation and possibility, who meets us in all of our unique embodiments and senses, planting a world of vibrant interdependence. Amen. Throw my glasses around. Does anybody have any announcements for our food this morning?
Good morning, Nancy Henderson for the Solstice service, and there is still one more opportunity for someone to awaken their animal spirit and join in the ancient ritual of the Abbott's Cromley horn dance, wheel horns. Please see me after the service. Paul Waterman for the Outreach Committee. This service has been such a reflection on our senses, and what I'm asking you to remember is that for our Christmas offering this year, we are supporting the World Central Kitchen, which is a nonprofit organization started by a chef. Chefs know how to feed people, and this organization has been feeding people around the world for the last 12 years. This year, we suppose that most of it will go to Gaza and to Israel and Palestine and Egypt and all of the countries around there where they are embedded in large teams. So donate when you can, starting right now. Just be sure to put on your check or with your, in the online donation, that it's for the Christmas special offering. And between now and the 24th, we hope we will be gathering a good sum of money to send. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. 2 announcements this morning. The first one, thank you all for coming to the Touch Christmas Fair, for helping with it, for opening up your wallets, opening up your hearts, your donations, all of your hard work. We raised almost $17,000. And the second announcement, so next week, we hope that the kids will share more about our 5th grade robotics team competed yesterday at Worcester Polytechnic Institute and won first place on their innovation prize. More to come from them next week on that. This same awesome crew of 5th graders and more 5th graders in our parish are going to be starting the Roots and Shoots program in January, which is a Jane Goodall program. I highly suggest checking it out. It's very cool, but more congregation in our church can help mentor our youth and bring them forth as the next leaders to make change.
Barbara O'Neill for the deacons. We are seeking entries to the Lenten booklet for the 2024. This is a collection of readings written by members and friends and youth of First Parish, a beloved tradition. Around this year, the topic for next year, the topic is sources of hope. So that I hope that as you proceed, as you walk through December, be noticing what makes you hopeful. What's uplifting? Mary Oliver says, pay attention, be amazed, write about it. So we would love to have your entries. The deadline is January 18th because Easter is very early this year. You do not have to wait for the deadline. You can get it even before the year is out. Thank you. Oh, one more thing, I will be offering a writing workshop. It looks like the working date is January 9th, to encourage, for anyone who would like to come and write with me, with a focus on a Lenten booklet entry. Rosemary Boyd with a gentle reminder that on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock, I'll be hosting a space, a quiet space, a sanctuary, for anyone who just needs a little peace and quiet in the midst of a holly, jolly, merry time. 7 to 7:30 in the sanctuary.
Miranda Loud for the music department group here. I'd like to thank the Bell Choir today. Also just highlight that they're doing a full concert here in this room on December 19th at 7 p.m. And I hope all of you who were mesmerized as I was by their playing can come. And again, it's a bit of peacefulness in this season that can be very hectic. And then the other thing is Dave Elliott and I had so much fun working on the Broadway concert. We're putting on a talent show for the parish. We want all of you with a talent to share to approach either of us and juggling. Maybe it's a fun story. We're trying not to interfere with the wonderful Sit, Talk, and Learn series, which is, I think, January, February, March. But I think at this point, we're aiming towards February 10th. Anyone with a song, I'm happy to rehearse with you and play anything that you want to sing. So keep that in mind for February. Anybody else?
Next Sunday, please come back and join us for the pageant. Kids have been rehearsing very hard down the hill this morning. Hopefully we'll see you next Sunday for that as well.
I just wanted to say that it's not part of an announcement, but one of the very special aspects of many of God being thanks was for years making me leavened bread. So it seems appropriate that we can think of him more deeply today.
Let us go in peace. And join us for coffee right through there after the postlude.